Next up, I'm going to give my thoughts on Barbenheimer, and Russ is going to listen. Welcome back to 4K Kings. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And you are here with us at a channel which you thought was physical media related. You thought was probably something that you actually liked. But today, we're here to talk about the biggest craze sweeping the nation. And not just talk about it, Russ, but we're going to go in depth and review the one and the only Barbie and Oppenheimer combo.
Barbenheimer.
If you like the content that we provide, please throw us a like and subscribe to the page. Best way to support us. It lets the algorithm know that we are appreciated. And we appreciate you. See, it's cyclical.
Have you seen either of these films, Russ?
I have not, but I went down a rabbit hole. I spoiled myself entirely.
Okay.
I wasn't probably going to watch it anyways.
Well, here we are on the eve of cinema's collapse and all the strikes going about.
Yes.
To celebrate Barbie and Oppenheimer. I don't know that I've seen this much buzz about a going to see a movie in forever.
Maverick.
Thank you. I mean, this whole Barbenheimer double feature craze, I guess. It's like such a viral sensation, but you're right. How could I have forgotten Tom Cruise? Tom, look me in the eye. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I did the whole Barbenheimer experience. Me and my wife, we went. We saw Barbie first. And I'm here to share my thoughts on both of these films. Try to tell you a little bit about both of them since you haven't seen them. Maybe
please
get your reaction as to, does it sound like something you would be interested based on how I'm describing it? And if you haven't seen them out there, minor, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, just more about what I did like, what I didn't like.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the show, Matt.
The first thing I just want to say is I do feel like, much like you said, Maverick, that this is exciting for the theaters. It was exciting to go. Mainly, I feel like Barbie is the one that's like really pushing and driving this excitement train because when we went, everybody's wearing pink everywhere. It's just like, it's people of all shapes and sizes coming to see this thing. And when I went and sat through it, there was like an energy that just like maybe Top Gun that I don't know that I felt at the theaters for a long time. So that's kind of exciting. We talk about doom and gloom movie theater shit all the time. And while it still might be on its way out, it still might not be able to be saved. It was fun to have this kind of a movie-going experience. Let me just throw that out there first.
Yeah.
You appreciate that? Nope, don't like that?
I do, but I can shit on it. I've spoken on this in previous segments. I always look at the music industry's collapse as to seeing what Hollywood is going to do because they're intent on making the same mistakes. I agree with you. All this sentiment is genuine and it's encouraging to see people excited to go to the movies. I don't think it's about the movies themselves, first and foremost. I feel like there are so many other metrics involved.
Okay.
Rather than people actually going to see either one of these movies. Oppenheimer aside, I think Nolan fanboys are going to support that. It's all a gimmick. It's all a marketing ploy. I think this is a nice fad. I think this is a nice cultural moment.
Yeah.
Pop cultural moment.
Yes.
Maverick involved the movie itself in that. The movie itself was a statement about the audience participation and all that. I don't think these movies have that.
And I think the marketing is definitely unreal.
And brilliant.
For Barbie,
And
it's been unreal to the point where they were able to get not just people into the theater, but everyone into the theater. When I say everyone, like next to me were, young girls. They all had their Barbies with them. The other side was like, like older ladies, like 80 for Brady style, like moms that all had their pink shit on. It's like people that you typically would not see at a theater, younger generations that, we have said are pretty much over the theaters. This marketing ploy, whatever you want to call it, got them there. And I just think that, wow, it's like pretty wild that, like you said, it's a cultural moment that I don't think can be ignored because not every film can do that. I think Oppenheimer is riding this wave.
Barbie's going to have way more legs at the box office than Oppenheimer. Dude, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying that's negative. I'm just saying I think that's what's factually happening. And so to me, this isn't that beacon of hope. This is an event. This is a ride.
Yeah.
This is the amusement park aspect.
Yes.
So I don't look at it, especially with the strikes, I don't look at it as like a, yes, return to form. It's uphill from here on out as far as box office and theaters go.
Well, you didn't see it, so. Well, all that aside, Russ, let's dive in. And were these movies any good? Are either of them worth any hype? I would like to just discuss my thoughts, share them with you very briefly about both, and then just a little bit of a conclusion, just my likes, my dislikes. I'd like to start with Barbie, since that's the one you're most passionate about, and that's the one I saw first. I never thought I was going to go see this movie. The hype drew me in, Russ. I'm a follower, not a leader.
I know.
Can I set this movie up just briefly before I talk about my likes and dislikes? Because I will say, even after seeing the trailer, it's not immediately clear what this movie is about.
I remember your wife asking me that months ago, like, is this going to be like some deeper thing? I'm like, yes, of course it's going to be that.
It's going to be deep.
Yes, of course. We can't make movies anymore without focusing on anything identity politics.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Especially with a toy line like that, which like some people look at as feminist, some people look at as the ultimate girly girl stay in the kitchen type toy. You knew this movie had to address it.
Margot Robbie is the stereotypical Barbie who lives in Barbie land with every other Barbie that there is, basically completely run by the Barbies. Every job is taken up by a Barbie. There's a doctor, a lawyer, all the types of Barbies. Then you've got Kens who are basically all vying for the attention of Barbie. Like, that's their only purpose. That's why they exist. And Ryan Gosling is the beach Ken. Like, that's his version. And I will be talking about him in a moment because I feel like he's definitely the standout, to me at least, of this movie. I don't know for however many people have seen the Lego movie. Russ, I know you have, so this is the analogy that I feel like fits the best. It's like that sort of a idea where the characters in Barbie Land are being like manipulated by real people in a real world. This is known way in the beginning. Like, this isn't like some spoiler at all. Like, that's actually the plot.
Interesting.
Once she starts having these strange thoughts of like what regular Barbies don't have, she leaves to go to the real world to find the girl that's playing with her to basically find out what's wrong. Like, that's the setup. That's how they get to the real world. That's what's going on.
I actually really enjoyed why she's getting those feelings, and I actually thought that was brilliant. All of this so far I think is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So here's my likes. I'm going to run down the likes then the dislikes, okay? You ready? The Barbie Land element, the playing element to me, I thought was clever and fun and funny, and I wish it lasted longer. They're interacting in a manner that indicates that someone who's a child is playing with them. Because a child's playing with them, there's a lot of meanings that the children don't understand. Like, they don't understand why a Ken might sleep over with a Barbie, and neither do they. Margot Robbie floats from the top floor down to the bottom because that's what a child would do. They don't really have any liquid coming out of their cups, but they're drinking. Like, it's a whole Barbie Land play set. Like, those types of jokes are dropped in, which, like I said, I think is kind of cute if you're going that angle. That doesn't last too long, but I do like that.
Clutch.
Margot Robbie, she's awesome. She is Barbie, and I think she tries to, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too, she tries to bring some gravitas sort of to the drama elements that are going on. I can tell she's really trying to like sell the drama elements, and I think she's doing a good enough job. It's just, do you like the drama elements, basically?
No, I know it.
I also wouldn't call it a funny film.
And then there's Ryan Gosling, who I gotta linger on Ryan Gosling. He's probably, I gotta say, my favorite part of this movie. When Ken and all the Kens and Ryan Gosling, he has this existential crisis too, because in Barbie Land, he's a nothing. So when he gets to the real world and the interpretation is that it's the patriarchy and that everything's run by men, all of a sudden he's starting to feel newfound respect as a man and like this purpose, and he can be anything kind of a thing. But what's great about his character is that he misinterprets all of it. He like just doesn't understand it, but he ends up bringing the patriarchy back to Barbie Land, and then the Kens start taking over. There's a great Matchbox 20 moment in this movie that I just fucking died at. There's a lot of really good jokes at his expense that are just funny. There's also a pretty decent conclusion to his character that I was not expecting, even though it takes forever to get there. And then the last thing, which will blend into the dislikes, there are definitely, like you said, it's deep. There are societal issues that are being brought up throughout, especially towards the latter half when they're in the real world. And early on, or at least at times, they're being very playful with these issues. And they're doing it in a way that is acknowledging that some of these things might exist, but we're going to sort of play with it a little bit to kind of have fun. And then I feel like the messages that they were trying to convey would have hit harder, but instead they go a little bit of a deeper, off the deep end route, which takes me into the dislike portion of the show.
The reality is that this story uniquely doesn't leave you with anything too comfortable.
That's what I was gathering, that by the end, it's not trusting the audience. It has to like go extra hard on one side rather than letting it speak for what it is. The satire, those jokes you mentioning, they're landing harder subconsciously to the audiences. That makes you reflect and think, not being told something.
Just using that patriarchy thing, that's mentioned a lot. Ryan Gosling says that word often because he thinks like, I'm just doing patriarchy. Like he's misrepresenting and misunderstanding ideas that are out there, but again, not making anyone feel bad about it, not telling you how to feel or not. He's just like, it's playing with these themes. And I thought that's fun. But then the messages started getting really heavy-handed, spoon-fed, and a little bit overbearing, like towards the end. There's like a monologue at the very end of the movie by one of the characters that's not a Barbie. She's like the main female character. She gives a monologue about what it means to be a woman and what it's like to be a woman. And I don't know what it is or what it isn't like to be a woman. And whatever she's saying possibly is true. But it really kind of record scratched for me, I guess, the movie a little bit when she started going that hard. And at the same time, I'm looking at the girls that are next to me. And these kids are like, maybe, let's say between 7 and 12. To me, this is a strange message to try to tell them. Like this is a weird thing to try to hit home on kids that might not understand certain concepts yet. Like they're here with their Barbie dolls because this is a toy to them. And instead there's this like heavy-handed message that's being like shoved down their throat, which I ended up walking away thinking, this is a movie for adults, which is strange because it's about a toy that kids play with.
You're so honest right now.
They don't want to get roasted on social media and have their reputations thrown through the mud. So they have to like tack this shit on. Like, make no mistake about it, we're satirizing matriarchies and patriarchies, but trust me, the patriarchy. Let the satire speak for itself. We're going to get that regardless. You know what I mean? I actually see a lot of potential for this to have been great. You know what I mean? If they actually would have kind of like believed in itself, I think this could have been great from what I was hearing. It just fell to the trappings of what I see every modern movie does now. Telling instead of showing.
I will say, when this movie was fun, I was having a blast. Like I really was. Like I went into this with no expectations at all. I think the ultimate message that, again, is done in a little bit of a heavy-handed way, but ultimately the message is that everyone has the right to have value and exist and be equal, and there shouldn't be a matriarchy where Barbies run everything and Kens are assholes, and there shouldn't be a patriarchy if they're, where men run everything and women are subservient. Like, everyone should be equal. That's the message. And I mean, it's a good one, but the way that they deliver it, it's a bit much.
Should I watch it?
I would consider watching it again, but I don't know that I could buy it. I'm not sure that this is a buyer, but I would like to check it out again. It's fun, dude. Like, honestly, I had a few laugh out loud moments. Some of the things are clever, but the things that piss you off will just really piss you off.
Such a succinct but comprehensive note.
So, Oppenheimer, Russ, also you didn't see.
No.
Just like Barbie, piqued my interest, saw the trailer, but never thought I was going to watch this movie. Never thought I was going to see it, especially because of the runtime. 3-hour runtime. Never thought I would get to the theater to see it. Chance happened, and there we go. And now I'm here to relive it with you. Filmed by Christopher Nolan, as you know, on the comeback trail after the Tenet disaster. And now he's with Universal after he kind of like dropped off with Warner Brothers over his streaming comments. He does not want shit to be streamed or in the theater at the same time. He had a whole deal with Universal. It was like, you can't have any other movies coming out in a certain window. This has to be in the theater for like 90 days. It was like a whole freaking thing. And again, just to set this up briefly, not nearly as much as needed. You pretty much gather all you need from the trailer, but it's a biopic about Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, who I knew absolutely nothing about. I don't know if you knew anything about this guy other than he did what he did.
He's the bomb.
The film spans basically his early career through creating this bomb and then the fallout after. Get that nuclear war joke? I will say that this movie is definitely not for everyone.
Shit.
Due to the length, but also due to the subject matter. But I want to quote you, Russ, because I forget what you were talking about, but you were pissed off doing one of your famous rants, and you were like, I want to see adult movies for adults.
Oh, this fits the bill.
This is an adult movie, a movie for adults.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this movie was.
And to continue on with my rant, Christopher Nolan is probably the only person allowed to do that in Hollywood.
So here's my likes. The pace of this film, I felt, is excellent. It is a long film, but it does a great job investing you in what's going on so that you just stay on the ride. If it's not like, oh, this is that boring part, it's like they're chugging along at a pace that feels good.
That's impressive also because this was a double feature for you. You were coming off of Barbie.
Barbenheimer.
And I was expecting to maybe be a little tired, maybe to be like not ready for 3 hours, but I was engaged the whole time. There's great editing between points of view. Like there is a black and white portion that is supposed to be, and again, I'm not going to do too many spoilers, but a black and white portion that is supposed to be one sort of point of view and an in color portion that's supposed to be another point of view. It's very snappy. Again, it's just, you're really like flowing with it. It never gets too crazy to where you're like lost, but it's perfect at keeping your attention. And the one thing about it too is the score. The score is damn near constant almost the entire movie. There are very few moments where there's silence when people are talking. The music is just, again, keeping you like flowing. Like it's not stopping, it's just going. Without that flowing music, you might have a feeling of, damn, this runtime is like long. You know what I mean? Like I
So
feel
every
like
3 minutes you hear a
dude, it's not Hans. I wanted Hans. It's not him.
Hans stayed with Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So that's a really excellent element of it that, again, without some of those things, you probably would be feeling it. All the main actors involved, Murphy, Downey Jr., Damon, and Blunt, in my opinion, all four of them could be nominated for an Oscar. I think they all were excellent.
It was God's will.
Robert Downey Jr., incredible. Matt Damon's always reliable, and he's basically his intense version of the Matt Damon guy character that he plays in some of these types of movies, but I'm here for it. Like, I like that Matt Damon. And again, Cillian Murphy, the main character, he's awesome. And it's like, he plays the role really well. And you've seen in the trailer, like all these close-ups of his face. He's like pained. He like doesn't know, what should I do? What have I done? Like all this kind of stuff. He plays that anguish really well. He plays the later part of the guy's life after everything's done and he's being interrogated by people that are basically trying to discredit him. You know, that whole process is really kind of sad. It's you know, there's a weight to it that I feel like they all nail. Emily Blunt, awesome too, as his wife. Obviously, the cinematography was cool. I mean, when I heard this was an IMAX movie, and it's like, you got to see it in this version, this whatever. Like, I never looked at it thinking like, wow, these shots are huge, or wow, this is like so much to look at in one frame. It just was beautifully done. I mean, everything looks great. I guess they did IMAX in black and white for the very first time. Like people made film stock for him to use for this film. Nearly all practical effects with some VFX enhancement, but they actually detonated a real bomb. A lot of commitment to, you know, the film, the craft here, which I can appreciate. I love all that.
I support it.
So some dislikes. I'm going to say I personally don't really have a lot to say in the dislike department. I think the dislikes that I will share are potential dislikes that people could levy against it that don't really bother me that much. One of them, I think, is it's hard to tell what this movie's going to be when you go to see it. Obviously, it's about Oppenheimer, but like, how is it about him? This movie is about him, just him. There is so like little focus on the actual dropping of it, the aftermath of that dropping. It's just about him. It's like the conflicts he went through and some theory, and you know, he's in the classroom and teaching and shit, but like so little of it is that. A lot of those things are glossed over. His personal life is like delved into. His, again, like them trying to discredit him, like all those things, that's what the movie is. And if you're going in there thinking like, oh shit, I might see like Hiroshima, like you don't. Most of this film is conversations. And it's discussions of sometimes nothing too heady, I will say. It's quantum theory and they throw these names around, but nothing like that's where you don't know what they're saying. But it's students talking. It's this interrogation. There's this like confirmation hearing for Robert Downey Jr. into like some Senate position. It's a lot of dialogue of sharing what's going on and other things too. It's a lot of moments of that with no real action. And again, I think that fast-paced nature of the editing and the score makes it play out like a thriller kind of, when if you didn't have that, it would just seem like I'm watching like a history lesson on History Channel or something about this guy. There's a lot of characters to remember, a lot of names of people that they throw around a lot, scientists that he knows, people that are involved, and they do a good job of like flashing that character's face on the screen really quick sometimes just to be like, it's this guy. But again, that can be maybe off-putting for some people because it is a lot of names and stuff that are going on. And lastly, it's 3 hours long. I mean, People are, if you can't get behind this material, if you can't get feel what's happening here, you're most likely going to be turned off and just not like it. I mean, it's like I said, not for everyone. On its face, it is an excellent film. It's low on the action, the gory details, obviously, like I mentioned, and it's hard to say how often I would revisit this movie.
Better or worse than Interstellar?
I would probably watch Interstellar more than this movie, but only because of the subject matter of what it is. But the performances here, I can't wait to watch this again. And I feel like this might be something that opens itself up more to me over time, just because that world with these characters, I really enjoyed being in there. But in conclusion, Russ, I had a great time at the theater. I had fun. The theaters are alive and well, maybe. It was fun to be with an audience that was pumped to be there. Don't sleep on Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. Get out there. But until next time,